good afternoon from Athens. So perhaps good night to Australia and good morning to the States and something in between from Australia to the States. We are in the last session now in the round table, and I have the privilege to moderate this second day round table, which gives me the opportunity to close this fantastic event. And it was really fantastic because the speakers in all sessions and the moderators did excellent work. And this event this year attracted registration from 58 countries around the world. About 1,000 registrations, magnificent presentations, very well organized by the technical team of ERA. I would like to thank all. This second day roundtable is about project life cycle safety. So from the beginning to the end, a very holistic approach and a sustainable content in nowadays, and not only. I'm very happy to have with me very well experienced people from construction. It's with us Firat Eker from IVME Consulting, with experiences in big projects. Also, Alexandros Spiridonis from the company we built, the Italian company, holding the position of the project HSE manager in a project in Abu Dhabi. And also Evangelos Piknis, the HSE lead for the projects of Cargill in Europe, Middle East, and Asia. I would like to give directly the floor to our panelists. I will kindly ask them to make a small presentation of themselves, about their experiences, and to give us their brief into this very interesting topic. And then we will follow your questions from the participants. I hope to see a lot of questions in the chat. And also we will build up a discussion based on questions that we can ask each other. I believe we share common experiences. We have came across the same challenges, and we can share solutions. Evangelos, may I start from you, please?
Yeah, thanks, George. Shortly to introduce myself, Evangelos Piknis, currently sitting in the position of EMEA build projects, CapEx projects, EHS lead for Cargill company, a food manufacturing company, and bearing something like 20+ years experience in the HSE field, particularly in oil and gas industry, but also in construction activities. And happy to join the event. It is the second year that, or the third year that I participate, not in succession, but with some interim breaks, and happy to share my views about project life cycle safety. In my current position, I'm directing the HSE aspects in all dimensions of CapEx projects, build projects that are mainly related with modifications and new setups, installations, facilities for the industry of Cargill. When I get into the real word of project, what project sounds to me, it's really about a wide range of stakeholders, and there it's the starting point how many different groups, how many different professionals, how many different community stakeholders we have to deal with when we start a new project, and what that means in all dimensions of HSC, both on the environmental side, if we start in the early phases of a project, but also getting deeper into the health and safety side when we progress with both the design, planning, but also the execution and finally construction activities. So in all those stages, the principle that is dominating the project development is coordination, collaboration, engagement with all stakeholder groups at all stages. And of course, we know that the market context in the last decade or so has changed. So the stakeholders have become more demanding. They would like to respond to any claims. They would like to have a project team that would lead, a project team that would perform, and finally that the project, the outcome, the output will be something which will be operated in a responsible and sustainable way. So we as HSC professionals are standing in the middle of these stakeholder groups. We are part of this stakeholder group, and we have our own responsibility and accountability in order to lead the way and raise the voice whenever is required. I would say that the projects have a number of HSC dimensions, starting from occupational safety. We would like to see elimination, if possible, of hazards that are really very important and very significant. We would like to have prevention through design. And of course, we would like to have at the operational era of the project a proper HSC and ergonomic focused operability. We have the process safety, of course, dimension. We would like safer design principles, and we would like to control the intrinsic hazards of an operational process. We have the environmental and energy. We would like to abide with all relevant corporate social responsibility aspects. We would like to abide by, as much as possible, sustainable development goals. And of course, we would like to respect the community close to which any project is built or any project is to operate after construction. And of course, we have to deal with the reliability of our equipment, of our processes, and the relevant interaction between people and processes in the next day. So all these dimensions have to be controlled really at the very early stages. What I have accumulated from personal experience is that definitely the main components that someone would start to think early enough are clear objectives. What is the project about? What is the scope? What are the boundaries? Secondly, the team competence. A strong team would secure that things will go smoothly and any requirements would be dealt professionally and to the best of the technology developments that we can go. And of course, there should be a really heavy attention in the planning phase, the so-called feed in oil and gas industry or front-end loading, which also secures that the output will be according to the expectations. And of course, we know that this would happen under a system. I heard earlier in one of the sessions from Ms. Hadjimichailidou about system. What does system mean for a project? For me, it's mainly about setting minimum expectations. It's about setting the pave for things to follow in a proper and professional manner. That's what system is about. And of course, we have people. We have people that we need to stress the requirements. We have collaborators, we have professionals, we have contractors. So this is a big group of stakeholders that we have to manage. And I feel that starting early enough is the key. And of course, moving forward, is giving proper attention to HSE at all stages. It's not only on the construction phase, because there is some kind of misunderstanding that safety is about only construction safety, and those that are involved in projects put great attention only before mobilization of the execution teams, which is something that personally, it's not my favorite mode of operating in a big project. This is something that has to start very early. It has to go with a proper allocation of resources, time, budget, people, competent people. So it's not just construction safety. It's the holistic approach, as George has mentioned, that has to be dealt from the early stages and the early phases of a project development. And of course, if I go back into George's session earlier today in the afternoon, he mentioned about common challenges that are faced in a project. I would call them common symptoms rather, and probably we can elaborate on that out of any of your questions or any of your comments. I would say that it plays quite a role in the successful evolution of a project, and moreover, in the minimal impact on safety or the maximum possible positive impact on safety, the selection of a proper competent team, engineering, design, construction team. Also the fact that we have certain HSE arrangements that consume considerable time for a project, bringing possible delays, potential delays, and then pushing the schedule with exertion of quite some pressure to the whole workforce. Some of them that I can mention is about environmental permitting. We know that a project should start with construction environmental permit, and this is really taking time. This is really taking time. And if this has not been accommodated properly, then obviously it will create quite some pressure at the later stage. Consultation with local communities. There was a project which I also participated, the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline project, in which consultation was a core function. Consultation with communities was a core function. It might be also an industrial project that would require such arrangement, but in any case, depending on the scale of each project, there should be provision for proper consultation. In addition, we have seen that the authorization process for progressing with the project, mainly based on cost factors, is creating a fragmented approach. Each phase is dealt with independently or almost independently. We know that the cost factors about providing lump sum compensation or reimbursable compensation to contractors creates a kind of discontinuity to the project. And this is something very common between the various phases. What this brings finally, it's obstruction of continuity in the projects, and of course, quite some difficulties in planning, both in HSE but also in the operational planning. Some other symptoms that I have also personally witnessed is about over-reliance on EPC, on the so-called engineering, procurement, and construction contractor. There are companies that would really rely upon this model, would really put considerable ownership on the shoulder of EPC contractor. And this is not always a successful case, a case that would bring a positive impact on safety. The ownership of the operator or the client is quite important at all stages in order to secure that we have a proper control both on HSE aspects but also on operations. Finally, one common symptom that I would say it's very vital to secure and safeguard our safety performance is about the project team capabilities. With the latest developments, while we are in the COVID era, we have seen quite a number of difficulties posed by the developments in this front. we have seen people getting additional stress and, of course, time pressure, not to mention absenteeism from work sites due to COVID. And that's something that we have to face. We have to take into account in any kind of management of change process. And we have, of course, to take additional controls on top of the normal routine processes that we're following in a project. That's more or less what I would like to start with in our discussion, George. And yeah, hopefully that we can build on some of those items later in the discussion.
Thank you, Evangelos. I think you made a very good introduction to modern safety on a project life safety approach. So you touched issues like stakeholders, dimensions of safety, sustainability, corporate social responsibility issues, the objectives, the boundaries of the project, the team competence and experience, social issues, continuity. Well, I repeat this as I believe we should work on that for the next hour. Right, let's move from Athens a little bit east to meet in Istanbul, Firat. Firat, will you please present yourself and then give us your brief on the matter.
Thank you, George. My name is Firat Eker. I am from Istanbul, Turkey, and a close friend of George for almost 15 years, right? Maybe more. Okay, I am a civil engineer, and I am mostly focused on the construction projects and life cycle issues, health and safety consulting, and also management systems in the auditing and consulting part. So I'm getting used to be in this sector in different large-scale projects, and had the chance to be in several countries for different projects. So I want to greet everybody. First of all, I would like to thank George on behalf of Management Force for this fantastic event. This is the 14th gala, and I believe this event has already created a tradition for safety professionals together to share the experiences, and now it's becoming an international platform to change these ideas and experiences. So I'm very proud, really. But my request for next year is to be face-to-face. Two reasons: just to see the people and to have the fish in Piraeus.
I believe, Firat, that everybody is missing to meet face-to-face,
yes.
to have a presence.
That's right. That's right. But I have also fish issue.
So we have the first registration. It's you.
Yes. Let me come to my topic. You know, it's always difficult to be in the last sessions, in the closing sessions, because everybody has talked a lot and told everything. But I will just try to tell something about my personal view on management systems and the contribution of management systems, how it contributes or how it does not contribute. So I will a little bit discuss about this issue. In fact, it was my real topic to talk about these management systems, but now I will share my ideas in this closing meeting. First of all, you know, we had another management system or system session 2 hours, 3 hours ago. I was carefully listening to that. I will not repeat everything again, but what is important for me in this presentation is that we have almost, we can say almost a new standard for the management system. What we call is the ISO 45001. And it was, you know, launched in 2018, and three years have already passed. And the old system is not existing anymore. It is totally diminished. And now we are totally face-to-face with this 45001. So I will not go deep inside, but just I want to give some brief information or brief introductory words about it, and then I will go deeper. First of all, I would like to discuss this management system issue. For 20 years, I'm working in this field, and I still try to answer the question whether these systems or this system is an ultimate goal or a useful tool for improvement. So we have to answer this very carefully. Is it a goal or is it a means? Is it a useful tool for improvement? So when there is a reward at the end of something, then it becomes more valuable. So these systems are certified, and then you get a certified, you hang it on the wall, you have a flag in your construction site or in the factory, whatever. So it is on the walls, as I said. So that is rewarded. You get a reward after this management system passes throughout the external audit. Okay, but do we measure the interim and the final results about it? So I want to discuss a little bit about it. Okay, we had a development, we have a history about management systems, almost goes back to 1996, BS 8000. Then came the OSAS 18001, almost for 20 years. So we learned a lot of things while consulting and auditing these management systems. But finally, we have an ISO standard now. So this is now in the table. Now everybody is trying to fulfill the requirements of 45001. But what is the difference between the old and the new one? Why is it now a management system standard? Not a specification, it is a standard. So let's talk about it a little bit. First of all, the terminology aligned with the other standards. This is important because when we say something in the quality management system or in the environmental system, management system, and then we come to the occupational health and safety management system. So the terminology was a little bit different. So we aligned, so the new standard aligned this. Yes, that is good. The compliance is okay. Plan, do, check, act. What we mean, the Deming circle is okay. Process-based approach is okay. So we have not very much difference in terms of this comparison. But when we come to the main idea or the main development, main improvement in this new standard is the holistic approach now. So we have the high-level structure, and all the systems are now speaking in the same language, same terminology, same requirements, almost common definitions. But what will be different for health and safety? Now I will a little bit go in deeper with that. First of all, I want to talk about the strategical view of management system. So, my friends, this is a new issue in health and safety management system standards. So what I mean, now we have to talk about the context of the organization for the first time. Context of the organization consists of external and internal variables to discuss about it. So you have to discuss what your internal, external factors are, how they are affecting your health, be careful, health and safety businesses. So pandemics process or the cycle has very much demonstrated this, the importance of this, because we have faced with legal requirements, international requirements, economical issues, shutdowns, blah, blah. So these all affected our companies, our enterprises, and our management systems. So now we have to have a holistic approach, and we have to get the preventive actions before, okay? So what we call is the risk assessment. Okay, so legal requirements, social and political factors, technological options, economical developments, and supplier contractor issues are to be discussed in detail before starting this kind of a job, this kind of a system implementation. And of course, we have the most important, maybe the internal factors, that we have the human capital, and we have the organization, we have the land, we have the capacities, we have the materials, equipment. So we have to think and proceed about these factors. This is something new in management system of 45001. On the other hand, we have the similar structure in relation with the other standards like leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. So this new structure is also new in 45001. I will not go deeper in all the items. I'm just checking the slides just to be quicker. But what I see the accountability issue in terms of the top management. So accountability was in the previous standard, but what I see is the emphasis is given more in accountability. So top management or the main stakeholders, the powerful stakeholders, this can be the owners, this can be whoever the stockholders are. So have the accountability for that. Also, please think about the public service for this, not always the private enterprises. Governmental institutions or organizations are playing critical role in this accountability issue because highway authorities, waterworks authorities, so these are very powerful organizations and they have all business, very strong businesses, and they are having the bids, tenders, and they start the work, so they are accountable for this. Yes, planning is always important, risk assessment, compliance issues, and such other evaluations, context analysis can be all regarded in planning issues, and also very important for our life cycle, starting with design or planning. And then comes the support issues like our human capital resources, equipment, machinery, materials. So the importance of this support elements are still very important in addition to communication and awareness activities and training activities. And what we see next is the operation. Operation issues are quite underlined in the standard, much more stronger than the previous one. So the risk control hierarchy and the management change for the first time in the standard, and the increased importance given for contracting or supplying, outsourcing. These are much more important than the previous one. So we have to be careful while discussing these items if we are purchasing or we are subcontracting. And of course, emergency management. So this is quite important now in 45,000. Also many technical issues. I don't want to tell about all of them, but electrical safety or working at height. So these aspects will be carefully elaborated in your management system, and then you will find some solutions like safe working practices, flow charts, method statements, operational criteria, and instructions. So we have many options, just you have to think about them. And performance evaluation, this is the check part, the C part of the management system. So measurement and monitoring will be incorporated with risk assessments. Compliance evaluations will be incorporated with the legal requirements. Internal audits will be incorporated with standards and the requirements. Management review will be incorporated with the accountability and the leadership issues that you have to review your system. So these aspects are clearly underlined in the system. Of course, finally, we have the improvement.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You made a management review, so you are at the end of the system. Will you put also a bottom line and have the opportunity to speak again about and complete your approach? That's right. In fact, the standard emphasizes the management with objectives, So what your objectives and goals and your targets or your KPIs, how you made the food in the kitchen, then it is on the table now. You are after the 6 months or at the end of the year or the 6 months, whatever. So you have to carefully compare your performance. But this performance will be done or will be reviewed by the top management. That is the accountability issue. And you will see the, the X-ray film of your company. That's critical now. Thank you for that. Okay. I think you get us through a very quick presentation of systems according to 45,001. Yes. You touched the matter systems, accountability, stakeholders, measuring performance, and things as that. So it looks like you rely very much on systems, providing that the system is a tool and not a goal. And
Perfect. That's my point. Yes.
And what I can contribute to support your case here is that I have came across clients, and the question was how much the system will cost. And none asked how much the system needs to be operable.
Yes.
What do I have to spend every year to having good, to have a benefit out of that? So, right. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's right. Well, I have one more sentence
Yes,
before
please.
giving the floor to my friend. That was my point. This is not an ultimate call. That is not the issue of the certificate, blah, blah. That is the recipe that this system, management system presents, and company by company or project by project, we have to get something from that recipe, and we cook the food. But of course, every element is not responding the industry needs. That was my last point. So we are discussing the life cycle, we are discussing the project management, but still these type of management systems, these type of, let me tell you in quotation, the prototype, let's say, the standards does not always respond to our needs. So if we are talking about project management, if we are talking about $1 million projects, so we don't see such specific requirements in these kind of standards. That is the issue. So when I check in this view, the standard itself, so I don't see so much emphasis on design. So, I mean, the standard things like that, everything is okay, and you just start to operate. No, it is not like that. We have even 1 year, 2 year, 3 year design processes. Even there is no construction or there is no project in the field. So there has to be a close relationship, close linkage between design and the management system standards, maybe in the next versions, but we have still, how can I say, we have to improve in terms of the logic of management systems, in terms of the literature, in terms of the terminology of the standards. We still need to improve.
Firat, and this is a question to all. I don't think that the management systems, and specifically the ISO 45001 or any other one, was based on experience from the construction. I don't think, well, construction is one part, and don't forget that the people perceive this like something, okay, we do it and we go to operation. So in fact, this systems is about operation rather than construction. Thank you. Alexandros, now we move south to Dubai. Oh, you are in Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. Oh, it doesn't,
Yes.
Well, it's not far.
No, same country, same country.
All right. Floor is yours.
So, floor is mine, but I feel I'm between 2 or 3 rivers now. I really enjoy too much hearing Evangelos, Firat. Really, you can continue. Take your time. And George even didn't start.
Don't challenge Firat.
I will make the role of Dan now.
Don't challenge
Anyway.
Firat. He will continue until the end. There will be no questions even to be asked.
No problem. I enjoy too much, really. Both of
Sorry
them.
for that.
Even you, George, if you start talking, believe me, I can sit hearing 3 of you very nicely.
Oh.
Enjoy.
Well put it, but now is your turn.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. So, thank you, George. First of all, congratulations to Management Force for 14th year, please, for the excellent organizing of this amazing event, available now in so many countries, giving the opportunity to all of us to listen to the leaders of the field, like Evangelos, like Firat, like you, and great supporting job also from the background, which I do believe they do the great job, and with ERA to make it happen. Really, the COVID helps too much the Gala, I think, to be expanded and to brighten all over the world, let me say, almost. Congratulations. So I'm Alexandros, for those who attend the round table. I'm civil engineer with MBA in HSC leadership. I'm working in construction industry mainly. I have some touches of design and operations, but mainly in construction industry as HSC professional always from 2001. And currently I'm working in Abu Dhabi, as we said, for We Build as project HSC manager. So talking for rivers, we are making a bridge here. So I'm expert to bridge the rivers here. But I know it's not my business, it's your business now. Anyway, so I will start, let me say, for those who attend our table here, who don't have, let me say, too much experience with what we are talking about, because I feel I'm here with the experts. So I will start with the basics. Talking about the phases of the life cycle of a project, which are starting with the concept and design, continue with the construction, passing to the operation and management, and ending with the final cancelling, demolition, or alternation of the use of a project. So this is, let me say, what we are talking about, just to brief those who are attending our table with not so much experience or not familiar with the file, let me say. And very well mentioned by Evangelos and Pirat also, the involved key parts for the life cycle of the project are the client, the designers, the contractors, the users, the operators, and those who undertake to maintain or even to demolish the project. Now, in terms of law, there are applicable requirements in several countries. I start with this because, in HSE file, we start from the law, the minimum requirement, let me say. So in the European Union, the European Norm 51 of 97 initiated the terms of health and safety plan, health and safety file, and the roles of coordinators of design and the construction phase. Of course, it works fine in large scale projects, but it was not implemented as intended in the small ones, which is a, let me say, vulnerable point of the legislation. So from my point of view, we have to improve the legal frame, or we have to give the tools to the organizations to implement the law. And one of these tools, as happens, of course, in most of things in ground reality, is the technology, which is moving faster and giving solutions such as being very, let me say, exciting tools for the designers nowadays to help us and help also the operation, from the operation side, when we are talking for the life cycle of the project. There are more than software which are very effective, but also important, as Evangelos and Firat stressed, is the coordination between the key parts. I will share an example from my recent experience. A 10-kilometer highway was divided in two projects. The more complicated was made as design and construction. So the contractor had the opportunity to change the design somehow, aiming to improve safety and reduce the time. One of the changes was to extend the distance between the T-gilders. So between pier to pier, there we put some beams which are called T-gilders. The distance between them we increased for safety reasons and to, let me say, to improve also the time of construction. The other contractor of the easier package didn't have this privilege to affect the design. His contract is only construction. So one day, while erecting the last T-gilder of a span, it touched the next one, and all of them, they fell down like domino, all the span. So it was a significant loss, which could be prevented from the design. Okay, even all of us were safety professionals. We know that it's a result of several factors, who's contributing to lead to an incident like this. Anyway, this coordination is also working between construction and operation teams, not only construction and designers. Many contractors nowadays are involved with operation and management because they are working for the guarantee period of a project, and they finance sometimes the project, so they are involved with their life cycle during the operation period. Anyway, the input from the operation is helpful to optimize the future projects from the perspective of design and construction. So, sorry, excuse me. Summarizing, I would like to highlight the importance of adapting the legal frame or giving the tools to implement the law, the importance of using the technology, and the importance of coordination between the key parts for a successful safety during the life cycle of a project. So thank you very much. That's all from me. I think that I leave the time to all of you to shine with your, let me say,
thank you.
Experience and expertise. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like that you focus on coordination. So
yes,
you believe that's perhaps the most difficult task to do from the health and safety point of view, and perhaps not only from this point of view, but since we are on a project life cycle safety, we talk about safety. So that's the key point. Now, it would be good to discuss what are the common weaknesses or the common symptoms, as Evangelos said, or the weaknesses of the systems, as Firat said about systems in regards to construction industry. Would you like to discuss this? Where are the key, let's say, areas to concentrate, to focus in order to optimize the performance of coordination of health and safety? What do you think?
Actually, I kept already some notes from Evangelos and Firat. As Evangelos said, there are so many stakeholders, so many, unbelievable. Even if you want to make he said an example for environmental permit, it should be an obstacle to start the construction. It should be an obstacle to start the operation, let's say the real life of a project. So many stakeholders, and it needs really coordination skills to put all these things together, get all the input, and start analyzing the situation. Also, what Firat said, that we need a strategical approach, because we think that he's absolutely right, that we start with the construction, thinking that, okay, design is happened, everything is solved. But no, when we start the construction, we see that no, it's not solved. And we start going back instead of moving forward. Also very important to start thinking even for the emergencies, even for what Firat stressed, sorry. And even as a contractors, all these things, they need skills for coordination, skills for working together. It's not obvious, it's not easy, believe me. You know it, okay, I'm sure.
Evangelos?
Yeah, what just Alexandros has said, I totally agree. Skills is one of the key elements that we would like to have our team equipped. The second bit is about process. And I think that the staged approach that someone can take from the conceptual phase up to the execution phase should be reviewed in all aspects, be it engineering deliverables, be it other design deliverables, equipment, be it layout deliverables, which again has to be assessed properly if we're talking about industrial projects. And finally, all these to be accommodated as per the objectives and the targets of the project. Each phase, while we don't want to be isolated from the next phase, brings some deliverables. And that's something that in a process can be managed out of regular reviews, consistent reviews, targeted reviews, not just a generic management review that will take into account the general progress of the project, but functional team reviews, engineering reviews, construction reviews, constructability reviews, as we say, that will be focused and will give a proper output before progressing to the next stage. So skills, systems, and finally validation. We know that we're talking about coordination plan, as Alexandros mentioned, but how many times do we see documents developed as a complete project CHS plan, HSE plan, or HSE coordination plan, and these are really validated on the way? I think most of us, at least in my on my end, I would say quite a few. The document is there, it fulfills the requirement, but there are very few steps ahead which show that, yes, we have a robust document and a practice that has been taken into consideration by all stakeholders, not just the creator of the document. So that's pretty much important, and I think this is a step that we most commonly miss out of the planning of any project. And of course, taking into account that auditing is a tool for getting the real picture of how it is the performance, how is the planning done up until the execution phase, and what other improvement areas we could achieve. So auditing is also something not common. It might be taken up by regular but small scale inspections which do not reveal the whole system areas of improvement, and that's something that still is a necessity for a big scale project in order to rectify and prevent, let's say, major drawbacks in terms of HSE arrangements.
Evangelos, you mentioned deliverables, and that's very important. And validation, because if something will go wrong, either if this includes an investigation for injuries or deaths or whatsoever, or if fire or damages or insurers come in, they will seek for this documentation at the end of the day. So we need skillful people to produce deliverables, and one of these is the health and safety plans developed during the design phase and handed over to construction. Did I put it well?
Yes.
So, Firat, how would
Yes.
you like, because you have been involved in so many big construction projects. Have you ever had any useful health and safety plan from the design phase?
Thank you, George. I go back to 5 years back at the other management gala meeting. Remember my presentation about Marmaray project, the tube crossing under Bosphorus? Yeah, that was that came quickly in my mind. So it was a really interesting process under the Bosphorus, a tube channel, let's say. So the design phase was very important there. So in large projects, large size projects, everything is critically assessed, evaluated, analyzed. So we can tell many verbs about that. But when we come to medium size or small size projects, then design process weakens and weakens. So in the large projects, I don't have so many big problems. What I have in the large scale projects, the problem is mainly the coordination, that I very much agree with Evangelos, because the coordination is the key issue because there are many subcontractors in the same field. But in different phases of the projects, different subcontractors go and come and go. So sometimes some of them are in good quality as a company, or skilled people in the payroll or working, or they have really good equipment, quality equipment, but then another comes and the quality and everything starts, the story starts again. So the coordination is very critical here. And as Alexandros said, this time inspections and auditings play an important role in large-scale construction projects. That was my point. Subcontracting, let me tell you, the procurement process, starting from suppliers, selection of suppliers and selection of the subcontractors and their commencement to the work, and then their on-site inspections and coordination play a critical role in the success of the life cycle.
Thank you. Alexandros?
Yes, correct. I agree, fully agree with Virat. It's a matter of, let me say, to put the track, to put the system, to put the way which all of these people can move to work to do the job together. And I also keep what Evangelos just said, that the interaction between the several phases of the project, not only the several stakeholders of the same phase. Don't, let me say, segregate the design, the construction, and the operation. We have to mix them, and we have to go from operation to design and from design to operation, and not bypassing construction. We have to let me say, to work together. It's
That's
very
correct.
important.
However, I think we're slipping into discussing only occupational safety issues. And I would like to raise the focus to a broader approach, as Evangelos briefed us at his opening speech. And go back to design and coordinate health and safety, environment, social issues in a more broad approach. So Firat said that in big projects, probably, yes, we've got something very sustainable, okay, something substantial, something useful. But in medium size and small size, we don't get. Well, depends now what we call big project, what we call medium-sized project, all right? So if we say that, is that 100 million euros is a big one or a small one? Depends. In some countries it's a very big, and another is very small, perhaps. Okay. So
depends on the industry also, George. It depends on the industry. If this $100 million dollars or euro, yeah.
Very correct. Thank you, Evangelos. So we have a question here from Christos Dimitrakopoulos, who is asking that how can we help our clients to understand that the design phase may affect severely the construction, commissioning, and operational phase of the project? How can we convince them? And his experience is that in many times the designers tend to think about the safety issues during normal operation, but they do not take into consideration how something is going to be constructed safely and commissioned. Right, yes. So, and well, I would agree with Christos, because I came myself many times across the situation that, right, health and safety plan in various countries, okay? Oh, and the health and safety plan, well, from the design phase, we don't see any particular risks. And anyway, this is the task of the contractor to deal with. That's it.
Yeah.
So any idea how to convince our clients?
Can I
I have an, sorry for that.
Go on, Firat.
go
Okay,
on, Firat?
George, thank you. In business administration fields, and particularly in the marketing area, or strategic management plus marketing, they focus on a real word, but I mean, real word. The term is creating the value, explaining the value, creating the value that makes that convinces the client. That is for sure. So we buy, we spend money according to this, what it brings to us. So in my opinion, I'm of course a little bit kidding, but we have to market, we have to create the value that design is important. Design safety brings you that, design safety brings you this. So by pictures, by presentations, by our rhetorics, we have to focus on sound, robust ideas, recommendations that this topic is really important. Not only with very, how can I say, inconvincing things, by creating this value. That's my point.
Evangelos?
Yeah, in a way, I would say that we would not be in the position to convince the client unless we are there in the very early stages. If those decisions have been made on how they approach, what is the budget to be allocated for the preliminary and detailed design, we will not be in the position to influence. I would say I would stick on what I mentioned earlier about process, bringing in mind that we have the option of doing regular design reviews, layout reviews, and constructability reviews. That means both from layout perspective, but also from the way that we would like to see construction going on. We have a chance to influence only if it is brought into the stage of a necessary review, a proper review with all the parts and disciplines involved there. If we have missed that timing, I would say that as a HSE professional, we cannot really influence the client in order to promote design that will take care construction, or design that will take care proper operability. That's something that's, yeah, it depends on the stage and the timing that we will get engaged on a project.
Now, to provocate our discussion, I think of a case like, well, I've got some money for a project. Really, I'm a businessman. There is some funding from somewhere. If I build up this commercial building, I found somebody to operate this one or to sell this building. So I have to make the maximum profit out of it. So the bank giving me the money doesn't care if this will be profitable business. I don't care. The designer is contracted by me, who have no clue about. And at the end, I made up a building. I found a way to sell it somewhere because they have found another financing source, and that's it. And at the end of the day, what is in the bottom line of Christy's question is that still the designers, they don't know how to design a building where we can clean the windows in a proper and safe way from outside.
Correct.
That's right.
So it goes back exactly to where you started, Evangelos, to the stakeholders and the conflict of interests between them.
Yeah. And obviously, especially between external and internal stakeholders, there is a conflict of interest. Between internal stakeholders, I would say that there are different views, but there shouldn't be conflict of interest. It's a common goal, it's a common objective to get an output which will be safe, will be cost effective, and also will be executed on time as per schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But probably it's the external factors that create this deviation from the original scope and objective.
Ideally, it should be as that, but I believe, well, personally, I came across situation where there was an internal conflict, even of interest, when I say internal within the project, not with the same company. So it's a project, we've got the operators, we have the designers, we have the constructors, we have the project management team. Suppose they work all together, aligned to accomplish the project, but still they have their own particular interests and the way they approach the work. So coordination, which was raised, was stressed so high from Alexandros, I think is not an easy job. It's very difficult.
Yes, the designers, there are many designers in a project. That is also be coordinated.
Yes, correct. So it's not easy.
Yes.
And I believe that, well, I say that suppose that every designer is make a perfect design from the safety point of view. So in first place, they don't need a safety expert. They follow the codes, that's it. But still, it's what Firat said now, the designers have to be coordinated each other. For instance, we came across very recently this case to discuss about how much space the mechanical and electrical equipment will need, because this will affect the free height of the floors. So if you make a mistake,
yes,
you can reduce this dramatically and have a different building, or then you try to make modifications about the mechanical and electrical installations.
That's right.
You cannot accept that
Yes.
in a hotel the height of the room is 2 meters. It doesn't look well, or 220 even. All right, for instance. Right, okay.
George, we have this, or I witnessed this problem many times. We have for almost 10 to 12 years, we have a new lift standards, elevator standard, European standard. And for example, machine room height does not fit with the architect's height that they draw. So at the end of the project, we realized this. And when we come to the permission for the elevator, for the lift, then it is not complying with the standard. That's a typical design issue. And who is responsible for this? So we have to explain this. That's not the convincing, but this is the explanation. This is emphasizing the importance of this.
I suppose that if we start giving examples, well, it will be Monday when we left the room.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, good. All right. So concluding is that stakeholders should work together, and we should start from there as the top. Coordination is difficult. We should have a system of work in place, whatever this is, well, and we have to agree on, say, deliverables and validation, and making sure that everybody is sharing the same information, okay, and using the same system. we came across another project. We raised the issue. It seems that the elevation reference was different from what they used for the project. Of that one that was used from the municipality. So probably they could get all the waters, if there was a flood, from outside the project into the project, for instance. Or have small gaps or very high pavements or whatsoever, adjustments. So really it's a continuous process, is a very tiring process. And it should start, as you said, at the very, very early stage, from day one. Good. So just a quick round. If you want to add something, I start with you, Alexandros.
Yes, I would like to add, I fully agree with what you summarized now, but I would like to add also that we need competent, involved parts, competent, really. Don't take it as granted. As you say, sometimes we take as granted the good design to go to construction, or good construction to go to operation. No, it's not like this. We need skilled people, and we need, as you said, the track to put them on it and to do the job. And coordination.
Very good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Firat?
Yes, thank you very much. Again, I don't have any further issues, but just 2 words. Management systems can also be utilized in terms of sharing the best practices, helping in improving the learning culture that is becoming to be the safety culture. So that is a very thin layer. That's a very sensitive issue to build that with the help of the management systems.
You have a good point there. Yes, because if you use your system, if you apply your system properly, then it gets you into a continuous learning process. Very good. Yes, right. Very good. And
that's right.
We close with Evangelos. He was the first to speak, so he is the last to speak.
We close the cycle.
Thanks, George. Yeah, I would still stay with one more element, talking about the owner of a project accountability, and the fact that despite that I started my briefing with the need for engagement, collaboration, and interaction, it still stays within the owner accountability to finally check and, of course, to further improve. If we are talking about recurring opportunities of projects, to improve the process for the benefit of both operational targets, cost, schedule, but also for safety. And I have come up with organizations that even make a kind of benchmarking surveys across projects, and they can direct, at least advise organizations on where they might fail with their operational process, and where they are ranked at above the average, I would say, of the relevant industry. So there are opportunities for the organizations to improve. There are opportunities for owners of projects to streamline their process, and of course to improve in the future upcoming opportunities. But first of all, they shouldn't relieve out of their own accountability, irrespective of the designer company, irrespective of the construction company at the end of the day. Thanks very much for this opportunity, George.
Thank you, Evangelos. Yes, definitely, this is a key issue. And we should, well, I believe that we all agree everything starts from the very top, and we should focus on very top, because this may help to cut corners and get quickly to the source of the, let's say, decision. Instead of just struggling with other people in our, let's say, level. That proved many times it doesn't work. And as what we discussed before about what Christos asked, how to convince people and how to convince people get to the very top. If the door is open, okay, you get your chance. If it's closed, it's closed. Think of another project. Okay, thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed this discussion. It was very nice to see you all. And thanks to pandemic, we have this this event, I would say, because it was not in our plans. It's according to the systems, the opportunity. It's not the threat, it's the opportunity. Right? So we grabbed the opportunity, and yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Good evening.